Hey, welcome to Volume 4 of Grey Ghost Independent Wrestling Memories. My recollections of my years of being a supermark and a super clown, maybe in indie wrestling. Hey, today I want to talk about some of the moments that I had that are kind of strange and a little bit, I'm not really proud of some of these moments too. I'm going to start off with a show that took place in, I believe it was Tallinn, Connecticut. Now, we had a place called The Bubble out in Tallinn. It was like a big white tent, and events were held underneath the tent. Well, this particular night, there was Ring of Honor, which, of course, as a lot of you know, is a major promotion, which I don't really consider an independent promotion per se. Many of the great stars of our wrestling business have cut their teeth in Ring of Honor or gone back to Ring of Honor. And there was a really good show lined up in Tallinn a few years ago. And what's interesting is it poured rain the night of the event, and the building, the Star Hill Bubble, started sagging and leaking from the heavy rain. So what ended up happening is they erected a big white tent that they rented from somewhere. Maybe they got it at Reading Rental or Taylor Rental or somewhere. And Ring of Honor ran this show in a leaky tent, and the wrestlers actually had to cross from the original place in the rain across the muddy field to the tent. But it was one of the most unique shows, because one thing they used to always make fun of me for, being a stupid, crazy mark, was when things didn't go my way at a match, I would slam a chair. Now, first of all, let me just clear something up for a lot of you out there. A lot of that is blown out of proportion. A lot of what I did is drop chairs. That started at Assault Wrestling, on the rocks at the Riders Cafe. Well, this particular night, and this show had a lot of guys that are currently stars in WWE and otherwhere. Samoa Joe was there, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, Claudio Castagnoli, who of course is now Cesaro. And, everybody was wet, and I don't recall the match, but something happened that really drove me crazy. And just to make my friends, Barry and Rissa, who were with me, to make them laugh, I took the chair up next to me to kind of slam it down. But all the chairs were tied together. So when I tried to do that, basically what happened is the whole row fell and I tripped over it. So that was a stupid moment. Another moment that I can recall, one which unfortunately is a low point for me, was another Ring of Honor show in Braintree, Mass. I remember it was a scorching hot night, and I can't remember the card. I know John Walters was on it. I believe Teddy Hart might have been on the show, the Briscoes. It was a great lineup. And I went up with my friend, and of course Ring of Honor has a policy, as a lot of promotions do, that you are not allowed to take video to be able to use, because they sell the videos, and it's good policy. But my friend tried to take a few digital pictures, and they didn't really like those either too much. So of course I tried to warn him. I says, look, don't do that. And of course what happened is they told him to shut it off, and I'm like, just leave him alone. He's only taking a couple of pictures. Well, long and short of it is, I got basically hustled out of there, threatened the police, and waited out in the hot cold for the showdown. That's a temper, and that was a stupid move. Now, one more right now on this little short video of Volume 4. Some of my famous and infamous moments. Maybe a couple more. There was a NECW Sheldon Goldberg still runs NECW today. He's one of the classiest men, and they are some of the most fun shows I've ever seen. Well, this particular show, I was by myself, and I went to Framingham, Mass. And I'm like, they were making people wait outside. The building, I believe it was an armory, not an armory, it was an auditorium in Framingham, I believe. Nice little building. I went to 3 or 4 shows there. Well, anyways, this particular show, we're all waiting outside for the event, and there was a kindly, middle-aged, slightly older man with glasses in the line behind me. And when I'm at a wrestling show, I love to talk to other people, to other fans, and you know, that's part of the fun, and it's part of the thing I miss right now. And hopefully I will be returning soon, more frequently. Well, anyways, this particular show, I started talking to this nice man, and we were very comfortable talking about wrestling, the indie wrestling, and then the discussion got to the WWE. And this particular man was asking me some of my favorite wrestlers and from the WWE, and I gave him a list. So then he says, well, what do you think of John Cena? Now, of course, we all know John Cena, whether you like him or not, has done more for WWE, WWF, maybe more than anybody they've ever had. And that includes Hogan and others. Well, I wasn't a big fan of Cena because in these days, I was a work rate guy, so to speak. I used to say, hey, work rate, you know, high spots, all these moves. I didn't realize the entire picture of what made wrestling great and what made a great match. So I talked to this man, and I says, I really think John has done so much for the WWE, with the Make-A-Wish kids, drawing fans. But I says, you know, as far as his in-ring work, I think he's very weak in the ring. All he is a power guy, and I don't really think he's very good. But I give him all the credit for everything else, and he's a valuable piece of the WWE, and even then I didn't realize how valuable. So he says, oh, you don't think he's very good, though, when he's actually in the ring? Well, you know, I'm sorry to hear that, because I'd like to introduce yourself. I'm his dad. And, you know, you can imagine the embarrassment and humiliation when I met John Cena Sr. that night in Framingham. And over the years since then, John Cena Sr. and I had the typical manager and Mark fan reactions, whether he was a baby face or a heel manager. As a heel manager, as Johnny Fabulous in those days, he was awesome. And he's still at it on occasion. He's a very busy man, and he still remembers the old gray goat, or ghost. And I look forward to seeing John Cena Sr. again soon and shaking his hand, because he's a good man who's really raised a great person in the business, obviously. But there are many, many of these moments that are either good or embarrassed at. You know, one more quick one was, we were in Philadelphia, Mike and I, after a 3PW show. We saw our friend Ron Zombie wrestle. And there was some great talent on that show. Jerry Lynn, Christopher Daniels, the current WWE US champ, the great AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. Well, we went to Denny's afterwards on our way back to the hotel. And, you know, we were sitting there and got something to eat. I think it was whatever it was. And all of a sudden, these guys just walked in. They just randomly, Jerry Lynn, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles just walk in. And you know, that was a particularly funny incident, because my buddy just looks at it and says, nice match, AJ, nice match. But you know, that's a common thing, but it was just a fun moment for me, because those days with Mike made it so much more entertaining. Mike lives in the South now and is still involved in wrestling in his own way now, in a different way, and has gotten himself a very good wrestling gig down there in the South with a young company. But I'll be back in a few days with the next video, Volume 5. Not sure what I'll talk about yet. Maybe some more of my favorite shows or favorite matches. But whatever it is, keep in mind, don't submit. Keep watching, share the videos, subscribe to my channel, because you never know. And keep in mind one thing, as the famous site says, it's still real to me, damn it. It's still real to me. 1, 2, 3. God bless. See you soon.